If you would have told me 1 year ago that we would still be meeting both virtually and in person as we sit here today, I wouldn't have believed it. It's hard to imagine that it's been a year, but it has. It's been a hard year as we've gone through a lot of things as a country and as a world. Primarily, COVID 19 has been something that has been a persistent just pandemic that refuses to go away. And so here we are thinking about what the future holds. And I just want to thank everyone in this church for understanding that there is no playbook for this, that we're trying to do the best we can as a church leadership team and as a church. We're just working as hard as we can to stay connected with each other and to continue to serve God in this time. There are hard things that it's important for us to process and think through. There's still good things taking place all the time as God works in all circumstances to bring about good. So God is present with us as we've gone through this difficult year, and as we think about what the future holds. We're not quite to the finish line just yet. It may be a while yet before all of us are comfortable coming back in person, and that's perfectly okay. And so every few weeks, we're going to reevaluate kind of how we're doing things for those who are coming in person. For now, we're going to keep wearing masks and sitting socially distant from each other, just so we can make sure that we are caring for each other in our community. We're going to keep listening to the medical community and the CDC and everything they're recommending. We don't want to be a cause of another spike when we're this close to the finish line. And so I just ask everyone to be patient, to keep giving us your feedback as we figure out how to best go forward as a church. But we will keep having church both in person and virtually for the foreseeable future. And that's something that excites me as it gives us opportunities to think about how we can be the church that is gathered here, but also scattered throughout this area to make a difference in our communities and our neighborhoods. As God transforms our life, we can join God in transforming the life of others. As we think about what the future holds, the vaccine is being released and more people are getting vaccinated, and that's a great thing. The CDC officially says, there's still a lot to learn about what happens once we have the vaccine. It's still possible to transmit it. They're still learning about what happens as far as how we can be carriers, those who have the vaccine. They're just released just a few days ago that if you're in a small group, when everyone's vaccinated, that's okay to be together and you don't have to wear masks. But there's still a lot for us to learn. And so I encourage you to keep just letting us know what you think. There's a survey that's being sent out with this video. And we want to hear what's going on in your mind and your heart regarding how we're doing church, what we can do together, and how we can anticipate a future out ahead of us. No matter what lies ahead, we as a church are committed to just focusing once again on our own discipleship, growing in Christ, and that means that we're also seeking ways to bring others along with us. Discipleship is both our own growth and finding ways to join God in fishing for people. And so that's going to be a part of our future as we think about what this church looks like, that we are going to make sure that we are being intentional about how we're growing, how we're becoming more and more like Christ, and what it means to be a part of this church, how this church is full of our people, and we're on the same team, and we're moving together forward toward God's future. And before we get to God's future, we have a chance here and now to be a blessing to each other and all those around us. And so I just encourage all of us to keep loving each other, keep connecting however we can, keep praying for God to work in this church, and just pray for all of us as we decide how we can more faithfully join God in the process of discipleship. And finally, I want to let everyone know that in the next month or two, we're going to have a special service of lament that reflects back on the last year and just gives us space to pay attention to God's presence in the midst of hard things. There's a lot of heartache and a lot of hardship that we've been through as a people. And remember, lament is not it's not a matter of complaining to God. Lament is a powerful and transformative way of worshiping that actually allows God's Spirit to clear away all the stuff that is in the way of growing with God. It gets rid of that bitterness and resentments that kind of pile up as we go through hard times. And so lament is a way for us to grieve collectively, to be honest with how we're feeling, to name those hardships and those heartaches. And it helps us also be able to see the good that's present in the midst of everything else. And so, more information to come about this special service of lament. It'll be a special time, not on a Sunday morning, and just a chance for us to come together to pray, to sing, to connect, and it will be available both virtually and in person. And so, I look forward to that time together where we can allow God to be with us as we lament. Once again, just want to encourage everyone to take a few moments to respond to the survey that is going out with this video. We want to know what you're thinking. We want to hear from you about how we can continue to grow and how we gather together in the days to come. We're not to the finish line just yet, but we look ahead to our future and we can see and envision days to come where we can gather together and see each other once again. We look forward to these moments and these gatherings. And thank you so much for spending the time listening to this update and praying for us as we move forward. Take care.